Hello and welcome to the Beyond Turning Points podcast. My name's Ash. Today we're going to explore listening to your heart. And when you listen to your heart, there can sometimes be this event process that happens where the mind starts to try and interject and try to stop you from following the call of your heart, right? So today we're going to look at the 6 stages of shedding identity. They're very identifiable. So what I'm going to present to you today with the intent that if there's something you're trying to do in your life and you're finding that there's this conflict between your head and your heart, that you're going to be more able to understand what's happening, right? When you're more able to understand what's happening, you can be more compassionate with yourself. If you can be more compassionate with yourself, everything softens. So it doesn't feel so intense. It doesn't feel so energy draining. Yeah. And so often the battle in your head drains your energy, takes up your bandwidth. That's how I like to describe it. It takes up bandwidth, meaning that you only have a certain amount of capacity for creating what you want to create in your life, or doing what you want to do, or making the changes that you want to make. And if you're stuck in your head, you're not doing the work of the heart. So your heart is calling you all the time. It's always there. It's generous. It's patient. It's kind. It's loving. It wants what's best for you. The mind, it can come and go, right? So there's times where you can have no mind. Wayne Dyer used to talk about the word nowhere, Nowhere, and that it actually spelled now, here. When you are now here in this moment, the mind very, very, very calm. In ideal circumstances, the mind is a tool for you, for your heart. In less than ideal circumstances, your mind is getting in the way, where it's trying to be in charge. It's doubting things. It's questioning the choices that you're making, which often I find that people who have a vision and they're really excited, their vision for themselves comes from a place of inspiration, or guidance. It's like the heart tells you, I want you to be a musician. I want you to be a painter. I want you to share your work with the world. Yes, go forward and be a therapist or an entrepreneur. Go do these things, right? And then the mind comes in and it's preoccupied with survival. Yeah. And so the mind, it's part of your human body, obviously. But when you think of yourself as you arrive as a baby, there's this true essence of yourself, right? If you see a baby, they're not worried about where next week's money is going to come from, or next year's money, or next decade's, right? I have conversations with people who are locked in with the golden handcuffs, right? And they're thinking about where their money's going to come from in 5, 10, 15, 20 years, right? That's the mind. It's locking them in. Yes, create plans and systems for generating wealth and ensuring that you have what you want in future years. However, your most inspired, heart-led self has the capacity to earn a lot of money. It really does, because if you're doing work that is valuable in the world, then it's natural that you will receive value. A little side note on that, the more you value yourself, the more value you will receive. But maybe that's for another podcast. So when we talk about shedding identities, first let's have a chat around what is identity. So we're going to talk about identity, the purpose of it, and why it's important to shed it. Then I'm going to take you through the 6 stages. And then at the end, I'm going to tell you about a couple of things I've set up for you that you can go and do this work independently. You can also do it with me if you like, but fundamentally, this podcast is so you can get educated, but also have action that you can do on your own, right? I strongly recommend doing these kinds of actions with other people, because the mind in isolation can create quite disturbing fantasies. Whereas in human connection, the mind doesn't have as much power. So if you find that you're really struggling shedding old identities that you want to move into new ones, there's a chance that you're too isolated, right? You're only getting the mirror of the mind, and the mind is trying to protect you, right? It's obsessed with protecting you. That's one of its roles, right? Which serves a purpose. Because if individuals kept doing silly things or things that weren't in the benefit of the tribe back when we were in survival mode, then the humans would die. Tribes would die. And if the tribes kept dying, that meant all of humanity would die. So that was one of the purposes of the mind. Protect. However, we want it to be a tool. Yeah. The heart calls you. The mind is the tool for working with the heart. So your identity is a collection of stories, labels, and roles that you have adopted to make sense of yourself and the world. It has emerged as you have grown. Yeah. As you've grown from a baby to a child, to a young adult, to an adult, to an older adult. These stories, these roles, these labels, they're always being added on and taken away. For them to easily slip away, these identities, right? Safety is a crucial one, right? But identity, it acts like a mental shortcut. So if you think of it like a suit of armor, yeah, it protects you and signals who you are to the world. So it gives you a place in the tribe, yeah. And once again, if we think about that primal structure of the tribe, it was important you knew your role in the tribe and you didn't change the role. Right? If you changed the role that you were doing in the tribe, that may have a negative impact on the tribe. So this protection system from your mind, it gets activated when it perceives you're being courageous or vulnerable. You do something new, it takes courage, it takes vulnerability. Afterwards, even though it may have been successful, the mind will come in. What were you doing? Oh, you messed that up. People are judging you. Sound familiar? So that's one of the reasons it can be so hard to shift identities. Yeah. And I know James Clear from Atomic Habits, one of the things he talks about in his book is to move forward in life, play with identities. And ideally what you do is you just drop identities and you become your true self. Yeah. But sometimes, you need other tools if that's not happening for you. So the James Clear version, I'm pretty sure he uses this version in the book, which is rather than being somebody who's going to run a marathon, take on the identity that you are a runner. So if someone's going to run a marathon, they train, they run the marathon, and then they might stop. I can think of a friend who did this with ultra marathons. Yeah, he was doing ultra marathons and then just stopped. Whereas if you're a runner, you do what a runner does. You wake up in the morning, you go running. You buy clothes and shoes that suit running. You spend time with other people who run. You listen to podcasts about running. It becomes like this identity that you wear. So that can be useful. However, if you drop the identity, you're somebody who just loves running. And that's the call of your heart. Even if it's raining, even if it's windy, even if no one else is running, the call of your heart is, hey, go out, feel your physicality, be in the world. So when you shed the identities, right? So I might have the identity that I'm an overeater, right? I'm not. However, if I shed the identity of overeater, that allows space for something else to come in. And I could take on the identity of a runner or a non-smoker or a non-drinker or whatever it might be to help me make the shift that I want to make shift. Now, one of the things about shedding identity, fear is normal. We're going to come to the 6 stages, and I'm going to address those in the 6 stages. But I just want to say this at the beginning, all right? It's part of the process, because your mind is going to perceive courage, it's going to perceive vulnerability, and it's going to want to come in to protect you, right? So natural to feel fear. Why do you want to shed identity? Well, because it creates freedom, reduces inner conflict, can help you be present in the moment, can help you love what you're doing in your life, unlocking deeper creativity and expression. Right, this is why we want the identities to drop. A little clue that you're getting stuck in identity: when you're worried about what someone thinks. Yeah. And once again, this is to hold you in place in the tribe so the tribe survives. This primal structure came from when we didn't have the resources we have today. Yeah, you can go out and get a new job the same day you quit your old job. Might not be exactly what you want, but that's possible, right? You can go drive Ubers. You can get on any app almost these days, like Airtasker, and do jobs, right? And have income coming in. But the personality structure of the mind, where it's trying to protect you, right? This is a threat. This is a threat. It's trying to hold you in place in the tribe. So let's go through these 6 stages of shedding identity. So the first stage, we could actually go a pre-stage, which is unawareness, right? So you're not aware of anything. You're not aware of identity. You're not aware that you want to make changes in your life. You're not aware that you're unhappy. You're not aware that you're unhealthy. You're not aware that you're in a toxic relationship. That could be a pre-stage. Yeah. So stage 1 is awareness. That's when you start to notice something needs to change in your life. So your perception of yourself or your surroundings doesn't feel like it aligns anymore. Very natural. Very, very, very natural. You're not always the same person in your life. The job that I had at 17, which was working in a surf shop, arranging clothes and helping people buy clothes and doing the cash register, I could probably do that now and still be happy. But there's work that aligns to me more now. Yeah, the work that I'm doing right here with you on this podcast, or in one-to-ones or workshops, or some of the exciting things that we're about to launch with our business, right? That feels more aligned. That makes me more alive. So there's this spark of awareness that happens. Now, it could just be purely through desire, right? It's not that you're unhappy now, you just want to make changes. You're just like, actually that feels better. Right? And there's many conscious teachers who talk about follow what feels good. Yeah? Follow what feels good. And then the more you do that, the more your life opens up and blossoms into this state of feeling good. So the question for you is, what holds us in place when we want to evolve, right? When you want to shift or move, what's holding you there? A lot of the time it's conditioning. Also, you can add in fear, right? Obligation. Those things can hold us. They've held me before in life. And I still have a responsibility, right? So if I wanted to shift identities, I still have a responsibility. I still have a family that I care for, and a home, and the costs of living and all those kind of things. I still have responsibility. But with the power of the heart, right, and the infinite consciousness and all those things that support us in life, I can work it out. My guidance will tell me. It's the same for you. You can work this out, right? Your commitment to that. So that comes from starting with stage 1, awareness. If you're liking what you're hearing so far and you're thinking of someone who would benefit from what this topic is, feel free to send them a message with a link to the podcast, right? Because what will happen is you're actually creating a connection with that person and a shared understanding. Right? And you can also support each other as you go through identity shifts, because the more you understand and you have connection, the more likely you are to be able to drop the identities. So feel free to share it with somebody. Now, generally what happens is people have an awareness of this shift that they want to occur in their life. And then they get hopeful, right? I love this saying from Richard Rudd, which is, hope is a beautiful thing until the mind gets a hold of it. So with the mind, I'm going to interchange the word ego. So this is stage 2. The ego comes in, yeah, and it's trying to make you stay as you are now, right? The problem with that is you've changed, yeah. There's like this part of you that wants to feel more of yourself, feel more of your vitality, feel more connection to the world in the way that you truly are. So that's that dropping of identity, but the ego wants you to hold on to it. Why? Because it doesn't want you to be a threat. If you die out, right? Like this is the level that we're talking about, right? From the primal ancient structure. If you die out, humanity dies out. Because if one person's doing it and that's replicated across humanity, all humanity dies out. So the ego is in there trying to help you survive. We're going to come to how you can work with the ego, by the way. If you're in doubt, that's the ego, right? The heart has called you forward. And there's this joy there. It's like, oh, that would be really cool. I really want to do that. And then doubt comes in. That's the ego trying to protect you. Coming back to that you have changed, it's a remembering of who you are. It's not that you're adding things on. It's actually that you're taking things away. And so the ego is trying to hold on to the old identity while you're wanting to be in the world in this freshness of remembering who you truly are. Yeah. And this will, the more you do this kind of work, the more it just occurs time and time and time again that you're in the freshness of who you truly are. So ego, also something that's really interesting that I was talking to a client about this week was that if you've done a lot of work and you have a good understanding of your personality structure and how human psychology works, and what happens is you can still continue to have challenges. A little cycle I see is that you have more and more moments of feeling like your true self, being connected to your heart, being connected to source or God or universe, whatever that description is for you. But then the ego comes in and it makes you constrict, makes you doubt, makes you fearful. You are resourced enough. You have more resources around you than ever in history to do what it is you want to do. The mind, you might find your mind actually trying to make an argument with that right now. Yeah. And that is the age that we're living in. The ego, the more work you do, the more the ego will subtly manipulate you. It gets cleverer and cleverer and cleverer, right? So it gets more resourceful because it needs to protect you, right? That's how strong it is. So if you go and do a meditation retreat, you come back from meditation retreat, things are amazing for a while, then the ego adapts and it starts to manipulate you in a different way. So then you have to switch on to that way, and you switch on to that way and you expand again. Guess what? As you expand, the ego is going to sense vulnerability, courage, and it's going to manipulate you in another way to try and protect you. So sometimes it can feel like you're working really hard, but it's like barrier after barrier after barrier. People often say something like, oh, I'm in this same place again. You're not. Yeah, that's a lie. The mind is telling you that, here you are back again in the same place. I love this description I heard from Corey Muscara, which is, it's actually like a tornado. So if you start at the top, let's use a whirlpool, for example, right? At the surface, this is where you are at the beginning of your personal growth journey, and it cycles down and you change, and down the very, very bottom of the whirlpool, is the truth. And so as you go, you get closer and closer to the truth of you, the truth of your being, the truth of your reality, and this reality that you're living. You're not in the same place. You've learned more. You've changed. You're more resourced. You understand more about yourself and the world. You back yourself more naturally by doing that. The ego is telling you you've messed things up and you're in the same place again. That's not the truth. So another thing your ego will do, it'll compare you. So let's say you have a vision of being a world-class photographer. The ego is going to tell you, you're not good enough. Look at so-and-so's work. It's so much better than yours. Look at their coloring. You don't even know how to get their coloring. It's also going to hammer you with time expectations. And this was something that took me a long time to understand. I would expect that, let's say, for example, when I'm working as a musician, that I would be at a higher level, be more popular, make more money, be able to travel the world much faster than what was happening in the 3D world, so in reality. And what would happen is, because I had that expectation it would happen sooner, it would demoralize me and make me want to quit. Be really aware of your time expectations. So a lot of people will set goals around time. I think it's more powerful to allow the universe to share its own time frames with you. If you allow that, the acceleration can happen much faster. If you put a time frame on it, like 5 years, 10 years, 5 weeks, 5 months, it might occur much faster. So something to play with, right? And notice I use the word play. This is play, right? You are playing with reality, turning dials, seeing what happens. That is a play. It's creativity. You're a creative being. So come in, have a play. Have a play with these things. If it doesn't work out, you're smart enough, resourced enough, plus you have infinite consciousness that you can access and guide you, plus amazing friends, and you can make these switches. You can adapt. You can be flexible. You're going to learn a lot on the way, right? And your nature is that you love learning. Now, something else to be aware of, which is an ego tactic, validation. And for the conscious creator who might be sharing on social media, comments, likes, saves, views, all those things, focusing on those can be demoralizing. However, it's the process. It's the process of turning up and creating. I referenced this person in a recent podcast. Her name's Nikki Convine. And she has been turning up for about 18 months now, writing songs, sharing content. And I see her actually really popping on social media. The quality of her songs, the connection in the songs, the quality of the recordings, the quality of the videos, it's just expanding at such a rapid rate. Also, going to acknowledge Dale's travel guides, right? Bodhi, he creates these amazing travel videos. Have a look on Instagram, Dale's travel guides. Right? You can see, if you go back to his earlier videos, you can see the evolution of this. Right? This comes from showing up time and time and time and time again. The process gets refined over time. And I see it in myself doing podcasts, and I see it in myself coaching and doing all these things. I'm still doing gigs and I'm still evolving. Yeah. Now, if I'm doing it for validation, that sucks up energy, takes up bandwidth. Why? Because that's the ego, right? The ego. Oh, you didn't get enough likes. People don't like it. Go back to the old structure. That's what it's trying to do. Why does it want you to go back to the old structure? Say it with me now. It wants you to go back to the old structure because of protection. Yeah. However, it's a primal ancient structure. Your higher self, it wants your evolution. It wants you to step into what you want to create in your life. It wants you to learn. It wants you to share your gifts. So learning to manage the ego, a little tip for you. Ignoring what those voices, so if you say inner critic, ego, the mind, monkey mind, ignoring what those voices are saying, that's one strategy. One of the problems with doing that is if you keep ignoring it, what can happen is it can go into your subconscious. So it becomes like this whisper. And so it's speaking to you from the subconscious. As it's speaking to you from the subconscious, it's harder to hear it. If you're more connected to it and you spend some time with it and you listen to it, like, what are you saying? Oh, you're saying that you're scared that I will mess this up and we won't have any money to pay our rent, or that, my partner will leave me, whatever those stories are. Once you hear those stories, then you can go, okay, well, thank you, inner critic, or whatever. You can give it any name, right? You could call it, let's say, Jeffrey, right? Just for the sake of any name that popped in my head. Jeffrey, I see you're trying to protect me. Well, what I really want to do is this. I'm grateful for your protection. I would like you to work with me so that we can go on to create this. Then every time as that voice pops up again, and if it's in the negative, trying to restrict you, it's like gently, self-compassion. Hey, I'm doing this anyway. Are you going to work with me? Right? Rather than rejecting this aspect of your human self, which is what a lot of people do, right? They ignore it, they push through it, they argue with it. That's rejecting it. I encourage you just to spend some time hearing it, which is why journaling is so powerful. I love that practice from Julia Cameron, which is the morning pages, which comes from the book The Artist's Way. I did thousands and thousands of pages of journaling because of The Artist's Way. And it really opened me up because I would just write 2-3 pages a morning, see what the mind was doing, connecting with my higher self through my writing. Because if you do this practice, you'll find that it starts to, you process what's happening and then you open up. Yeah, and you open up to your higher self and what your higher self wants for you. Very powerful. So there's a good strategy for you with the ego. There's actually a couple there, right? So there's listening to it and telling it that you're going to do it anyway, and asking the ego to work with you, right? That's using the mind as a tool. The other, journaling, so that the expression of the negative and those doubts and fears go into the page. They're expressed, they come out of your body, out of your mind. And by doing that, you allow space for your higher inspiration to come in. Very, very powerful. All right, so next stage. So you've had the awareness that you want things to change. The ego's kicking in, all right, because it's trying to protect you. The next stage, stage 3, is release. And so if you want something new to come in, you gotta let go. You gotta let go of what's here already. Yeah, it's crucial. Absolutely crucial. Now, how am I going to fit more plants in my garden if I don't make space? I can try and plant more plants in my garden, and then they just conflict with each other, and they're competing for light, and they're competing for water and nutrients, and their roots are tangling up with each other, and it creates a war. Whereas I can create space. Yeah. And so this is what you need to do. So here's an action point for you for stage 3. What do you need to let go of? What's not working? Is it your job? Is it relationships? Is it your health routines? Do you actually even need to change your holidays? Have you been doing holidays in a certain way for years and now it's time for a different holiday? Gosh, that's a powerful way to change things. Open yourself up to new experiences and challenge the conditioning in your mind, right? Because the mind will love repetition. It will love repeating the same thing and making you feel ultra comfortable. However, ultra comfortable can create staleness. So you need to release. There could be some old ways of being, or people that you've connected with in the past who served you when you were in a certain identity, but now it doesn't serve you, and you'll feel the mismatch. It's like, oh, I just spent time with them, and pretty much like the last 5-10 times I've seen them, there's been this mismatch. It just hasn't felt right. And so there can be fear around that. So you've got to release. Right? Now, you've already done this in other places throughout your life. You let go of the identity of being a school student. Let go of that identity to go into whatever was next for you, university student or an employee or an entrepreneur, right? And then if you're working in, say, corporate world, you're moving up through the ladder, yeah, and you're letting go of identities all the time. You can be letting go of identities in health, in relationships. The holographic nature of reality means that you are already doing this in other places. You might perceive that you're not. So releasing that perception that you're not already good at shedding identities. You're good at it. Yeah. You've already been doing it your whole life. It's just that this particular change that might be in the forefront of your mind as we're talking, it may be really important to you, right? And you've made it so important that the ego is trying to protect you. Let go of the importance. All you're doing is expressing who you truly are in a playful way in the world. What happens if you can come into it with lightness? Okay? And go into the next step of what it is you want to create. Once again, as you take a step, after you've taken the step, before you've taken the step, you might find that your ego comes in to try and protect you. Thank you, mind. Thank you, ego. I understand you're trying to protect me. I'm doing this anyway. Will you work with me? Here's actually how I would like you to work with me. Yeah, so that's bringing this embracing of your whole self. Now, to help you go through these stages, what I've done is I've created an AI prompt that you can use with ChatGPT or Claude or Grok or Gemini, whatever platform you use. And what it does is it will take you through a process, identifying what's occurring for you, and then give you strategies that could be relevant to you for each stage. Not as good as working with a real person. So if you have a great coach or a therapist or even me that you would like to work with, that's better than using a prompt. However, the prompt is free. Yeah, and sometimes it can just be enough to get you over the level. So you want to keep moving forward. Momentum, right? Momentum is a force. You are the force as well. So it's very natural that momentum and you go together, right? Both forces. So if you want to get the prompt, just message me identity on social media. So that can be TikTok, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube even. Just message me the word identity. Yeah. It's just a nice little way to support yourself as you go through this process. Something else you can do if you're interested in working with me one-to-one and would like that extra support, you can message me the word hello. And we can have a conversation from there around what it would be like to work together so that you can keep moving forward in a good time frame. Sometimes I had a conversation, well, not a conversation, I was working with one particular client. She'd been stuck on the same thing for 30 years. I know I've had, I was in teaching for 22 years longer, or actually 20 years longer. So I had the awareness, actually, this isn't right. I don't really like the system and how this system treats children. And I had that awareness in my second year of teaching. It took me 20 years to break out of it. right? And I was going through this process over and over and over again, these 6 stages. So rather than being stuck in that, feel free to message me hello or identity and keep moving forward with that. All right, so common thing in human behavior, this brings us to stage 4, is relapse. So this is where you've worked through these first 3 stages, you've stepped into what it is you want to do, and then you relapse. That occurred to me with teaching. So my goal, I want to be a musician. I want to be a professional musician. That was just calling at me every day. And I would go be a professional musician. I'd get burnt out. I'd run out of money. I would feel like I couldn't do it. I'd doubt myself. I was definitely doubting my abilities, regardless, disregarding what was occurring around me with a really successful band and amazing experiences. My mind was still saying, I was horrible. I was not a good musician. I was not good at this. And so what would happen was I would relapse. I would go back to teaching. And that pattern happened for about 13 years. That same pattern over and over and over again. At that point, I wasn't working with anyone to help me. It was only in about beginning of 2018, I started working with a coach who we've had on the podcast here. His name's Michael Atma. And Michael helped me break that process. And I'd never known what it was like to work with a coach before, to have like a guide that was guiding me. And so that helped me not relapse. And so what happens, you step out the old structures of personality and ways of being in the world. They pull you back. So that's not failure, right? It's part of the process. People go through this with substances. They go through it with relationships. Quite possibly, I've been there, where you've been in a relationship that doesn't serve you. You break up and then you go back. And then you break up and then you go back. And so that's that relapse. Yeah. Once again, this is holographic. It happens in many areas in life. It can happen with health. Actually, I went through it in the last couple of months. Lots of rain here in Sydney. Let go of my health practices and wasn't exercising as much. And I really started to notice that it was impacting me. So that was the relapse. Whereas I know if I'm committed and I'm disciplined to my health practices, I keep moving forward, feeling better and better and more energized every day. So did the relapse and then identified the relapse, came straight back out of the relapse. Yeah. Now, you've come back from the relapse, you're back in. Now, stage 5 is accessing courage, right? You're facing your humanness, you're listening, you're acknowledging, but you're not obeying the ego. Yeah. This can create even more discomfort at times. You're like, oh my gosh, when are we actually going to just nail this, right? It can create more discomfort. However, you're developing the skills to manage the discomfort. You're developing the skills to actually, let's take out the word manage. I'm going to put in the word, or 2 words, work with. You know how earlier I said about the ego, we work with the ego, right? That's what we're doing all the time. Every material in the universe has a way of working with. You don't work on it. You don't work on your business. You work with your business. You don't work on your staff. You work with your staff. Yeah. You don't work on your children. You work with your children. Yeah. It's a collaboration. If you're working on them, that language is putting you above and you're working down onto them. Work with, side by side, with any of these things. Once again, the holographic nature. So you have the courage to work with whatever is coming. You're more resourced, right? And you back yourself more fully. I've talked about this before on the podcast earlier too, these confidence, steps to confidence, right? You learn about yourself, you know about yourself. So that's the first step. Then from there, you're more likely to be yourself. And you be yourself in the world. As you be yourself, you're going to get feedback from the world. Most of it's going to be positive. Some of it might challenge you, right? Creating a relapse. Yeah. but you try and stay in that you know yourself, you're learning about yourself. As you do, you be yourself more. So it's, part of that remembering. And as you be yourself more, a natural outcome from that is that you back yourself more. As you back yourself more, guess what? You're going to learn about yourself more. So this process happens over and over and over and over again. You learn about yourself. You be yourself. You back yourself. By backing yourself, you learn about yourself. You be yourself more. And it repeats, right? It's like this cyclone that occurs. Play with that. Yeah. You can play with this. It might be challenging at times, but it's worthwhile doing. It really is. It really is. All right, let's get from stage 5, the courage of staying in the game, right? The game and playing. Stage 6. Actually, before we go to stage 6, let's recap the stages for you. So awareness, you realize you want to make a change. 2, stage 2, ego comes in trying to protect you. Stage 3, you have to let go of things. You have to create space so you can do the new thing. Stage 4, you're doing the new thing, and then you relapse. You come back, right? Fear spikes up and the old habits return. Stage 5 is courage, right? You've started to get resourced and you're moving forward with courage. Now stage 6, wonderful stage. That's where you reach escape velocity. So escape velocity in scientific terms is when a rocket is taking off, right? Rocket is taking off and it breaks free of the Earth's magnetic field. That's escape velocity. It's going fast enough to get away from the Earth. This is what happens. So when I left teaching, it was hard, right? There was part of me that was like, go back, go back, go back. That stuck around for a few years. Yeah, I think I've been a coach now for 5.5 years. And that escape velocity, it's probably only really in the last 12 to 18 months that I hit the escape velocity where I then, okay, there's no way I'm going back to teaching. Yes, I'm still a teacher in many ways, but going back to the school system, that's not my destination. And so I reached escape velocity. So I broke free from the old patterns of those school teacher habits and that going back with the relapse. You can do that too. Here's a little saying for you. Feel free to write it down or put a note on your phone as you're listening. Commitment leads to more commitment. In that process of getting to escape velocity, there's going to be levels of commitment. So if we use the example of a relationship, it's beautiful at the start. There's this real connection. But am I going to introduce this person to my family? Yes, no. Okay. So commitment leads to more commitment. Am I going to move in with this person? Are we going to spend our lives together? Is this a choice? Am I going to go on a holiday with them? Actually, yes or no, right? Commitment leads to more commitment. It's the same with the call of your heart. How committed are you? The more you commit, the more the angels see what you're doing, that you're showing up in your warriorship, and the angels come down to support you. But you got to show up for yourself first. You really do. And stick with it. The commitment will get you there. I guarantee you it won't be easy. Or maybe it will be. Little play with reality there, right? How do I do this with ease and grace? I'm challenging my own belief there, right? Did you hear that? I was like, guarantee you it won't be easy. Hang on. I could feel that in my body. That wasn't true. It could be very easy for you. So play with that too. I'm going to play with that reality myself. There's something for me to look at. How wonderful to be doing a podcast and processing myself as we're discussing. Thank you. Thank you for your help and me identifying that in myself, that there's an expectation. It could be hard. So you can see, right? Like this is part of the process, the learning, and me dropping that story of it could be hard or it's going to be hard, guaranteeing it's going to be hard. Drop that story. Opens up. opens up. So if you do want some help with this, there's also another free resources for you. So if you're a heart-centered professional, part of what you want to do is be more visible in the world and share your work with more people. Take the visibility quiz. Right. When you do, you'll see how your levels, what your stage of visibility is in the world. So, for example, you'll find out which of the 4 stages, where are you at with your social media, with your newsletter, podcast appearances, whatever it might be. You'll also see what your next steps are. So that's there as a resource for you. If you feel like you really need to work on your critic, your inner critic, there's the free inner critic quiz. You can do that. All of these are in the show notes. The free inner critic quiz will help you identify some of the patterns of behaviors that are playing out and stopping you. So, like, for example, self-sabotage, low self-worth, perfectionism. There's 3 others there that you can explore, right? There's strategies you'll get to help you work through those as well. Something else that I ask of you, if you're enjoying the podcast, feel free to leave a review or share it with someone. It makes so much difference, especially for a small podcast like me, starting to accumulate reviews. Well, a small podcast like this, I am not the podcast, but I'm sharing the podcast. When you do a review, the algorithm's like, this is cool. We should share this with more people. So that would be greatly appreciated. To wrap things up, let's go through the 6 stages again. So stage 1, awareness. Stage 2, ego. Stage 3, release. Stage 4, resistance. We also talked about relapse as that. Stage 5, courage. Stage 6, escape velocity. Thank you for coming along on this experience of this podcast. Thank you for being open to these ideas. If you're watching on YouTube, feel free to comment around any great takeaways that you had. Also, you can message me for the ChatGPT prompt or the AI prompt to help you work through the stages. And so if you want that prompt, the message is identity. So just message me the word identity. If you're interested in working one-to-one, message me the word hello or comment the word hello, and I'll connect with you. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here. And thank you for sharing your gifts and having the courage to shed these identities, right? Keep going. A friend of mine once taught me the difference between trust and faith. He said, trust is like you hope. Faith is that you know. Yeah. Have faith. You are on the right track. Just keep taking step after step after step. Before you know it, you would have climbed a mountain. You'd be standing looking down on the world and seeing how beautiful your existence is. Sending my love. See you next time.